Welcome back to Altitude University. Hunter here, and in this video I'm going to show you why you need to be using ND filters. So ND filters stands for neutral density filters, and they're basically just sunglasses for your camera. So you can get different variations of darkness, which is just a different variation of shade on the camera lens, which makes it darker, which means you can open up your aperture higher, which means you have a clearer image. So let's jump into what that means. So first off, right here, as you can see in this image quality right now, it is extremely bright, and that is because I have no ND filter on. So my aperture right now is at f2.8, and if you see, I lower it here, 4.5, 5.0, 5.6, 6.3, and it doesn't get to an even EV until f11. I can't even go lower, and the EV is still plus 0.7. You always want your EV to be at 0.0 for the clearest image. So the goal of the ND filters that we're gonna be putting on our camera lens right now is to keep an EV of 0 and our f-stop between 2.8 and 5.6 for the clearest image possible. It's really that simple. Step one, f-stop of f2.8 and 5.6, and keeping the EV at 0.0 for a perfectly balanced image. So you can see right now at f11, we're almost balanced, but we're still at 0.7. And as we open it, obviously as we're opening our f-stop, it's just getting brighter and brighter, which does not look good. So at f2.8 right now, our image is totally overexposed. It's not gonna work. So what we're gonna do now is put on an ND filter of 8 and see what happens. So this is what the ND filter looks like. I'll get a little bit closer here so you can see it's literally just little sunglasses. So you're basically taking this part right here. You have it right here on your camera, and what you're gonna do is just twist it off and pop this on, and that's how you're gonna be switching between your ND filters. So if you see right here, there is the lens. You're just gonna twist, boom, and there we go. We took the main lens off. Now all we're gonna do is grab our ND filter right here and do vice versa. So you're gonna grab it right there, pop it on, and twist into place until it's locked, and there we go. We got our ND filter on our camera. So this is an ND8. Let's see the difference in lighting now. So if you take a look now, you can see how much darker the image is just from the base lens to an ND of 8. So our f-stop is at 2.8, and if you remember with that first one, it was super overexposed, unusable footage. We had to bring the f-stop all the way up to 11, which is gonna give us a blurry image, and it still wasn't even properly exposed. So we can slowly raise this to see what gives us perfectly exposed image. So right here at about 4.5, it looks like we have a perfectly exposed image. As we move around, we can really see how that looks with different lighting right there. So that's great to know. An ND of 8 is gonna work in this bright environment. Let's put on an ND16 and do the same exact thing. So same process right here. You're just gonna twist it and pop it off, just like that. And then grab your next ND filter. So this is an ND16. As you can see right on there, it says ND16. And all I'm gonna do is pop that into place right there. And let's see how this looks. All right, so we're up and running here, and at f2.8 with an ND filter of 16, you can see our EV is at plus 1.3 or plus 1, around there. So if we lower it, you can see right there at f4, we have a perfectly balanced image. So it took an f-stop of, I think it was 5.6, or maybe a little bit lower to get a balanced image with an ND8 filter. And with the ND16, you can see we have an f-stop of 4. So we have more range. We can bring in more light, open our lens more to get an even clearer image. So let's do the same exact thing with an ND filter of 32 and see how that balances out our image. So one last time, just for reference, grab your ND filter right there, twist and pop off. Right there. Grab your other one right there, lock it into place and pop it in until it's locked. And make sure when you're doing this, make sure to hold the gimbal on both sides, because if you're just wiggling back and forth without your hands placed there, without them there, and you're literally just grabbing it here and twisting it and pushing that motor gimbal in, there's a chance you're gonna mess up the gimbal. So just do it super gently. Place your hands on both sides there, just like that, right there. So when you're doing it, all you're doing is adjusting this top part. You're not pushing around the gimbal clamp at all, or that motor gimbal. So let's take a look at this now. And look at that right there. So with an ND filter of 32, we're looking at an EV of 0.3. So obviously, as you can tell, if we want our EV to be at 0.00, our f-stop is 3.2 here, or even at 2.8 it works. Our EV is right at 0.0. So this is the ND filter that we're gonna wanna be using when we're flying. It's super bright out, so an ND of 32 is gonna give us a perfect exposed image with an f-stop of between 2.8 and 5.6. So I'd recommend getting an ND filter kit that gives you an option for an ND of 8, a 16, and a 32, because in the 8, you could use that in the mornings when it's not too sunny out, ND of 16 if it's partly cloudy out, and then an ND of 32 when it's super bright out. So I recommend those ND filter settings for all of your drone footage, and it's really that simple to understand. I hope you guys enjoyed this video, learned a thing or two. It's really an easy concept to understand ND filters. Step 1, you want to keep your aperture between f2.8 and 5.6, and step 2, your EV of 0.0. So those go hand in hand. If your aperture is between 2.8 and 5.6 and you have an EV of 0, that's the perfect ND filter that you should be using. We'll see you in the next video.
If you enjoyed this video and you want to learn more about unlocking your drone's full potential and becoming a confident drone pilot, then be sure to check out our course 14-Day Drone Pilot Pro. It's a speed learning program for beginners teaching aerial photography and video editing, and our students are absolutely loving it. I'll link it in the description below. Make sure to click that subscribe button, and we'll see you in the next video.